Chapter 21. Conscious Choices and Your Perceptions. Conscious choices are about being aware of the thoughts and ideas you have about the world you live in. Your past, present, and future are all unconsciously one. The happenings of your past are like an audio tape, unconsciously replaying themselves all day and night. Your past becomes the basis for how you deal with people and events. This is the hidden power of your mind, a reflection upon your world. Learn to trust yourself by making a decision to turn your will, your life, and care over to God, the universal intelligence. Seek freedom by not letting others think for you, but by learning to live in the moment and find the awe in life. Live in perpetual awe and discover the sensuality of your human experience and your spiritual being. In my addresses, I call myself a well-disguised Robert Redford, Christian Slater, or Errol Flynn. On the outside, my rotund figure does not in any way look like any of these handsome men. My body is what most people perceive as me, and their thinking stops there. I take them the next step and tell them the main difference. Robert Redford is richer and better known than I am, at least today, I say, pausing for a moment. But on the inside, we are both alike, kind, good, and caring people. Conscious choice deals with your buried perceptions about yourself and your world. By using awareness, you are taking your inner eye, unspoken beliefs, rules, and thoughts about life, and seeing them honestly for what they are. Then you can start to deal with them. The following story is an example that helps people understand that it is what is inside your mind, body, and soul that matters. One day, Alan and I were at the park. I had a rule that if he was in the climbing play area, I would help him once and only once during that visit. My belief and perception was that if he got up to the top, he could get down if he perceived he could. This was my experience in life. If I mess up, I have to take care of my own mess. I wanted him to learn that he had to live with the consequences of his choices, and this was the safest way I could do it. That also meant he would have to learn to deal with life's struggles, as we all must ultimately do, by dealing with our inner selves. This has a lot to do with our perceptions. Alan climbed to the top of the climbing area with my help. Once he got there, he did not see himself coming down without my help. I sat listening to music on my Walkman as I heard him yelling for help. The ground rules were set. I wanted to help him, but this would have cheated him out of an opportunity to succeed. I find that I confuse guilt as love because of the way I was brought up. The guilt of my past welled up inside me as I waved back at him and pointed to the headphones on my portable cassette player, motioning that I could not hear him. I was not listening to music at the time, but he did not know that. 10 minutes later, he walked up to me. He was upset and told me so. Then he went back to the climbing area. Over the next hour, he scampered to the top and back down without my help. Alan's perceptions created fear, and it was best answered with the love of a parent who knows you can create conscious choices and deal with your perceptions positively. Alan, at the age of 5, learned one of life's most important lessons in a caring and safe situation. Sure, I would have helped him if his distress were based on the reality of his being hurt, rather than in his perceptions of incurring for himself possible pain. Conscious choice is the difference between having sex and making love. Sex, in a scientific sense, is purely an instinctive survival mechanism. Love-making is God's gift to you as you go farther along the path and become more connected to your spiritual being. Learning to share the energy and ecstasy of lovemaking requires that you be consciously aware of your partner's actions, reactions, feelings, and experience before, during, and after lovemaking. It is the one time where your mind, body, and soul meld into one totality. To add zest to a long-term physical relationship with another person, I approach lovemaking with that person as a new experience each time. I consciously choose to believe that it is the first time I am sharing my mind, body, and soul with that person. It may be the 100th or 1,000th time, but in my mind, it is like the first time. This is a journey of exploration and discovery, one of learning to share and sharing to learn. It is like playing a piano. Each time a pianist sits in front of one of the piano keys, the musician can choose to either hit the individual notes or create a symphony. It is still just a piano. But when it comes to living consciously, I believe you have a choice whether you play notes or create your own symphony of life. The French have a perfect description for the culmination of lovemaking. They call the orgasm le petit mort, which means the little death. It is the one time where you completely lose control over your mind, body, and soul. These three parts of your being become one with the universe for a brief moment in time. It is a brief and delirious moment that can only be compared to death, since it is such a vibrantly refreshing acknowledgement of your human experience. Conscious choice means that your perception of your physical being, your body, is really in your mind. This is a key to attaining total spiritual satisfaction and becoming one with the universe. Conscious choice lets you deal with mind, body, and soul by taking responsibility for what happens to you. Learning to live in the moment is experiencing conscious choice as the universal intelligence planned. Exercise. Listen to the following and then do it. You are looking at yourself in the mirror. What you see is someone else's body. If need be, use your imagination for the next step. That is how I saw myself as a well-disguised Robert Redford. No snickering, please. See in front of you the body of the most sensual and desirable person you can imagine. Look at the magnificence of this creation called a body. Be in awe of its miraculous healing properties, its awesome potential for experiencing life to the fullest. Savor the beauty of what you see. Now say to yourself, I am seeing God's greatest creation, my body and mind. God gave me a body for the human experience part of my spiritual journey. God gave me a mind with which to explore my universe so I may go farther along the path of my spiritual existence. God gave me a soul so that I may live in conscious choices every moment of my existence. I choose to live in awe of life, my body, my mind, and my soul. Re-listen to this whenever you feel the need to reaffirm your reason for being, or feel in pain during the physical part of your human experience. This will help you realize your body is in your mind, and that you are indeed a miraculous creation. Affirmations. Repeat these frequently to yourself throughout the day. I am living in awe of life. I am consciously living my sensual adventure called life. My mind is the key to my perceptions. Chapter 22. Be honest with yourself. Accepting that your body is in your mind is one key to your perceptions. It allows you to free yourself from the projections of others about what is beautiful or good. Honesty is being truthful to yourself in a frank and open way. Using this honesty helps you deal with your self-perceptions. Make a diligent soul-searching inventory of who you are. Realize that what you see in others is but a reflection of your own beliefs and perceptions. What I see on the outside is not what I know is on the inside. No, I am not Robert Redford, nor do I want to be him or anyone else for that matter. I am a middle-aged, partially paralyzed man with a rotund physique. I am living separate from my wife as we head toward divorce. At times my hormones get the better of me. Sometimes I get upset and yell, but most times I choose not to. On the inside, I see myself as someone who has found inner peace and solitude. I see life as a sensuous adventure in a body constantly in pain in the traditional sense. Yet I see my pain as my medium for growth. I have a wealth of experience, and I choose to use my past as the foundation for a renewed me each and every day. I am honest with myself and ask those around me to be honest with me too. The danger with honesty is that you can get used to it as a reason not to go beyond your perceived limitations. That is also the side of honesty that is the most powerful. My honesty with myself is key to my growth and fulfillment. It is your key also. Ken, you're a pain in the butt, I sometimes hear myself say. And it's true. When I feel committed about something, I believe I must take positive action. Here is a case in point. The school my children go to provides a pizza lunch with a snack every 2 weeks. When I discovered that fat-laden potato chips was the snack, I went about trying to get the school to change it. I felt it was inappropriate for a school which taught children about health to serve unhealthy food. I believe it is more important to show children than to just tell them what healthy eating is about. I gave the principal credit. He chose to discontinue serving chips as a snack, yet a majority of parents were upset by this change. Any attempts to use healthier choices such as apples or low-fat baked foods were met with considerable resistance. It got to the point where a demanding list of criteria for what the apples had to look like and how they had to be handled was drawn up. I'm sure that even the Garden of Eden did not have apples that perfect. The bureaucrats were caught between parents who wanted their children to have healthier choices and those who wanted to maintain the status quo. I was disappointed that the children were prevented from having a rewarding and positively enriching experience. I got and sent free course materials on fruits and vegetables to the school board. I also sent a simple proposal. I suggested in writing that they implement an Eat Your Way to Health Day each month. This would be an opportunity to show and tell the children what better food choices are about. Our schools have an environmentally friendly approach of reducing, reusing, and recycling. They even dedicate a day each month to reduce, reuse, and recycle. It seemed logical to me that my proposal was sound and safe. The teachers in the school used and enjoyed the materials I sent, and so did the children. The bureaucrats on the school board ignored implementing the use of these high-quality, professionally produced materials, even though they supplemented their educational programs. A year later, my children had a pizza lunch, but still no snack, still no Eat Your Way to Health Day. At the end of the year, I sent a letter to the chairman of the school board and the school. I answered their fear of controversy with love. I hope that by now educators and parents will have learned to be honest with themselves and understand our role is to guide our children, not possess or just react to them. I hope they show their commitment by implementing a program of healthier snack choices and an Eat Your Way to Health Day. I am honest with my children and have shown them what healthier choices are about. My daughter, who is on medication for her learning disability, is no longer on drugs. Food is just one part of the answer, not the whole answer, yet it is one that my children were being made aware of at as early an age as 4. I saw my fear that my children would repeat the errors of my ways. What I discovered was the fear in others of change, their fear of being honest with themselves. The price they pay is the present and future quality of the lives of our children. Honesty is something our daily news reports on. Not sensationalism alone, but the dishonesty in our system. Read about one politician after another who defrauds the public and undermines our trust in the democratic system. These people may rationalize their choices, but their lack of honesty hurts us all. Have you ever not paid a tax that you should have paid? It's easy to say everyone else isn't paying their full share, so why should I? Fine. Let's accept those ideas as truths for a moment. If taking every opportunity to evade taxes is the case, then what would happen if we all paid the taxes legally due? Is it possible that your taxes would be lower? Is it possible that fewer bureaucrats and law enforcement officers would be needed to find and recover the unpaid taxes? In my naivete, I chose to believe that society and our children would benefit with just a tad more honesty in taxation matters. The next time I get a chance to evade paying a sales tax, rather than doing it, I will not. In this way, I give back to society a little of the values it has given me by paying the tax. Will you? Exercise. Re-listen to the preceding paragraph. When the opportunity comes, seize it and realize you are being honest with yourself by your actions and choosing not to cheat your society out of money. Being honest in this way reaffirms your values and our society's worth. Pat yourself on the back for being honest with yourself and not letting greed devalue your worth. Exercise. This is more fun. It will not cost you money. It will be of great value to you. Imagine the most dishonest thing you have ever done. Smile. Remember how good it felt? Did you cheat someone? Lie to someone? Steal $1 million? Forget the last one. I know temptation has its limits. Now, imagine you are the person or individual in the group who suffered from this action. Feel the pain and frustration you suffered as if it were your own. Are you feeling guilty, bad, sad, or mad about the feelings you caused others to have? Vow to yourself that when another similar situation presents itself, you will be honest. Acknowledge that you may want to do a negative thing, but are making a conscious choice not to. Picture in your mind how good you feel by showing this restraint. Pat yourself on the back. You were honest with yourself and did not devalue your self-worth by deed or action. Affirmation. Repeat these frequently to yourself throughout the day. I am honest to myself. I see myself for who I am and am becoming a better person for this. I love and accept myself. I see myself as others see me. Chapter 23. Be a winner in the lottery of life. Winning the lottery of life meant I had to let go of the negative aspects of the past. My anger had turned into depression, and my fears had become anxiety. I was letting my past destroy my present. I had to let go of the past to survive. It was a gamble I had to take. The night I took pills and booze, trying to bury my past, I remembered the parasailing accident and my purpose in life. I decided to use my past to help me. In my pain, I found a fertile medium for inner growth. I thought of it as the garbage of my past had become the fertilizer for my present, helping me grow a better tomorrow. Thinking of it this way enabled me to start growing inside again. Recently, I went to the park with my children. They scurried all over the jungle gym. I sat and watched with satisfaction as a year before, Alan had been afraid to climb down from the top of the same piece of equipment. I had refused to help him and said that if he got up the tree, I knew he could get down if he chose to. His displeasure with me then was both vocal and prolonged. Here he was now, climbing and swinging like a monkey. Suddenly he stopped, scampered down the jungle gym and ran towards me. He said, "Daddy, remember last year when I tried to do this, how scared I was? It's easy. I love you." He triumphantly smiled, turned, and rejoined his sister. Although at the time I had been unsure if I had done the right thing, but the result I saw now was a happy, independent child. Alan had built upon his past anger and had realized it. I felt loved and proud. The Echo newspaper in England in 1994 reported that the next Lord Mayor of Liverpool, age 53, had been found guilty of prostitution in the 1970s. In 1990, she'd been fined for conspiring to obtain property by deception. The politicians of the city of Liverpool rallied around this woman. They understood that her past was a learning experience and she had become better for it. Building on your past starts with yourself. This is how to become a winner in the lottery of life. A little help is appreciated when needed. Exercise. Imagine yourself when you first began to ride a bicycle, play a sport, or read. Were you upset, frustrated, or angry during any of those activities? Are you still upset about the things that frustrated you then? No. That is how your past builds a new present and future for you. Affirmations. Repeat these frequently to yourself throughout the day. My past builds me a better today. I accept what has passed and use it to make me stronger now. The poo-poo of my past is my fertilizer for today, which helps me build a better tomorrow. I am a winner in the lottery of life. Chapter 24. Give up the need for control. Control is a desire to exercise authority over yourself and the world around you. This desire and power to direct and regulate has broad-ranging applications, some good, some bad. The key to maximizing the benefits of control lies within you. Giving up the unconscious need to exert control on the people, places, and things around you can be very beneficial. Where does this need come from? How can you benefit from it? Observe babies. Stephanie's and Alan's births were routine deliveries. They started life being separated from their mother. First, a doctor took them from the womb, a nurse cleaned them up, and then they were given back to their mother for a short while. Unfortunately, control was exerted on the babies and mother by the nurses who followed procedures and separated Stephanie and Alan from their mother. At the time, we were told this was so Mum could rest. Now I believe this is the beginning of the Western world's model of control that is exerted upon children. The effects of this control are felt throughout their lives. As the children grew, I observed their need to make sense of their world. They did this by exerting control upon people, places, and things. Stephanie and Alan would cry out for food and comfort. Their mum and I responded to their demands in a variety of ways. We were being controlled by what appeared to be their physical needs and wants. As the children aged, their explorations were expressed in a seemingly innate desire to put things in their place. If changes to their man-made world occurred without the children's permission, they became upset. Exerting control was how they learned to strive, survive, and thrive. Was it necessary? Is being in control the most beneficial way to deal with life? I noticed that Stephanie, then Alan, seemed to exert their desire to control mainly upon the man-made objects and spaces in their lives. When they played in natural settings, this need was not as strong. They accepted the way the world of nature was and played in it, laughing, giggling, crawling, being explorers. Generally, they seemed happy in natural surroundings. Again, we exerted control. When it rained, we put on the children's rainwear and boots. "Watch for puddles," we would say. "Stay away from the bushes. Don't go there." Their innocence was lost by age 6. Their natural desires to explore and discover had been greatly curbed by us. Unconsciously, we had duplicated the models our parents had thrust upon us. Did we really do this for their benefit, or was it for ours? Is this the best model for survival? In some regards, for perceived purposes of safety, it seemed so. I have come to question this, however, based on my post-accident discoveries. When I nearly died, I entered a state of inner peace and tranquility that intervention from the outside world destroyed. I was not breathing when they fished me out of the water onto the deck. It was the need of the people on the dock to intervene and bring me back to life, something I knew would have occurred anyway, that caused me much of the trials and tribulations I later suffered. Mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, drugs, ambulances, and an interventionist medical model turned my world upside down. I lost control over my life and my pain. My growth was stunted, not promoted. Once I no longer followed these external control models and took back control of my life, did I start to heal more fully. It took years of inner struggles to succeed. When I had my shoulder fusion and Steinler surgical procedures performed, my control was again violently taken away when the nurses injected me with morphine to kill the pain. Again, I lost control and was buried beneath a tide of pain. The band-aid of drugs prevented me from exercising my abilities to deal with pain and heal. The task I had started working on earlier was pushed back many years. Control can be an insidious form of external or self-imposed destruction when it is misapplied. A historical analogy is Hitler's attempt to take control of Russia. His armies marched thousands of miles to the city of Stalingrad. The Russian army and citizenry put up a valiant defense. The long supply lines to maintain Hitler's army grew strained. His troops were worn down by the very need to control that led them to their many victories. Somehow, the Russians, attacked by Hitler's armies, bravely stood their ground. What was it that enabled them to survive this horrific assault and resist the might of Hitler's army? The answer is that they controlled their immediate world. Their self-love and self-discipline allowed them to survive the harsh Russian winter against insurmountable odds. Hitler's troops gave up their attempt at exerting control upon the world. Defeated, they retreated. The Russian army and citizenry, by astutely managing to control themselves, had defended one of the most powerful armies on the face of the earth at that time. They were able to prove that control within oneself is the greatest form of power one can exert upon the world. Self-discipline is control you exert upon yourself. Self-control is not needing to physically force or manipulate another. It requires an inner strength and will. The more you practice it, the easier it becomes to allow others into your life. The easier it allows you to receive into your mind, body, and soul the abundance the world has to offer. Exercise. Step 1. This requires 2 people to demonstrate the power of control. Find a partner of roughly equal strength and a quiet place to sit, facing each other. Raise your right or left hand, flat palms touching your partner's hand. With all your might, both of you push against each other's hands, expending energy for a short while. What happens? Neither of you gets anywhere. Your hands stay suspended in the same place. Eventually, your energy is drained, muscles are tired, and if you have invested emotional content into winning, you are frustrated. By exerting physical power, you got nowhere. Step 2. Repeat the above exercise, but with one difference. Your partner exerts force, you use your hand to guide the direction of your partner's hand by offering no resistance. Where do you both end up? Your hand and your partner's hand end up being closer to your body. Your partner exerted most of the effort and energy. You received them into your space. Your partner's arm could go no further. It was stretched to the limit. You, on the other hand, pun intended, had relinquished external control, opting for self-control, and so you expended very little energy. Your partner's hand ended up by your side. His or her energy was expended and yours was conserved. In essence, he or she became a part of your sphere of influence. By relinquishing your need for external control, you gained mastery over yourself and your world. Exercise. Read and study the life of Mahatma Gandhi. His philosophy to promote change was one of passive civil disobedience. Exercise. Make time for yourself. Find a peaceful place, preferably in a natural setting, such as a forest. Stand, sit, or comfortably adjust your body to the environment. With your eyes, explore the abundance around you. When ready, close your eyes and listen to the world of sounds and life surrounding you. Let your mind, body, soul receive life's abundance. These exercises demonstrate that self-control heightens your senses, levels of stimulation, and control over your life. Enjoy. Affirmations. Repeat these frequently to yourself throughout the day. I trust myself and those around me. I believe in my abilities to control myself. I no longer need to control others and prefer to receive freely the abundance my universe and God offer. Chapter 25. Practice thankfulness. How are you is a common question. Listen to what people say. You will be amazed at the list of complaints and negative attitudes you hear. Practicing thankfulness is about not taking life for granted. It is a talent you can rediscover. Each moment is a gift, which is why it's called the present. Becoming thankful is one way you show appreciation for this gift. After my accident, I had trouble walking up a flight of stairs or 50 feet to the corner of our street. At first, I used a cane and was thankful for having one. I realized that time was my ally as I used time to allow my body to heal. I came to realize that I was lucky to have one working lung to get me through the day. All these small things began to add up to one big thought. I was thankful just to be alive. Now, when someone asks me, "How are you doing?" I answer, "Any way I can," or "I got up this morning and that's enough for me." Thankfulness helps me not to take life for granted each and every day. "Thanks, Daddy," are two of the most beautiful words a child can share with a parent. My children are learning to acknowledge the big and little things in life. Here is thankfulness in action. Yesterday, my daughter left a beautiful singing message on my answering machine. Sung to the tune of Happy Birthday. Verse 1. Happy Love Day to you. Happy Love Day to you. Happy Love Day to you. I love you loads too. Chorus. Kiss, 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 kiss. Verse 2. Happy hugs and kisses to you. Happy hugs and kisses to you. Happy hugs and kisses to you. I love you loads too. Chorus. Kiss, 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 kiss. Song created by Stephanie, July 31st, 1994. Received with thanks by Dad. Exercise. Get that singing voice in your head ready. You can practice silently at first. Now go to your mirror and belt out as best you can. Happy Love Day to you. Happy Love Day to you. Great. I see you're getting into the spirit of thankfulness already. I look forward to a time you and I meet so we can all sing this song of thankfulness off key. I have more where that came from, thanks to my children. Affirmations. Repeat these frequently to yourself throughout the day. I wake up, and that is good enough for me. I am thankful to be me. My life is a gift from God. Thank you for my gift. Chapter 26. Welcome crisis into your life. Crisis is a turning point at a crucial time or event. Usually, it's seen as a bad thing. In fact, you can make it into a positive event. How you deal with crisis determines the outcome. When my daughter was 6 years old, she was labeled as learning disabled. This was definitely a crisis for her and her parents. What do we do? Where do we go? Is there an answer? In anger, I lashed out at a school system, a system with a different set of priorities than mine, while I coped with my feelings and my learning disabled child. Guilt and fear motivated me. Teachers dealt with their daily problems, control the children, teach them, deal with their individual personalities. Bureaucrats dealt with student-teacher ratios, dollars and cents, pensions, the administrivia of a school system. All these things, I felt, lost sight of the school's main priority, the children. It was evident that staff and parents were afraid of change. Only Lainey and I seemed to have our daughter's best interests at heart all of the time. I remember the question, do you read to her every night? Every night! Lainey and I were avid readers. Our home resembled a library. Stephanie had an overflowing bookcase in her room. From the day she was born, we read with her. The teachers and bureaucrats searched for blame and pointed it in our direction, putting our emotions on a roller coaster ride. Fortunately, this misdirection did not work. I learned from my accident that crisis promotes growth. Thinking and taking responsibility for myself made my recovery possible. Once I accepted Stephanie's crisis into my life, I stopped listening to the professionals and began listening to my soul instead. I applied the lessons of my past to my daughter. Quickly, Stephanie was put on drugs to stabilize her sagging spirits and self-esteem. This was seen as a short-term solution to the problems that multiplied daily. While this was happening, I began reading and thinking, what caused her problem? Why were so many children being diagnosed as learning disabled in our school system? I discovered that this problem was not isolated to our school alone. In some respects, it had taken on epidemic proportions across North America. Something was terribly wrong. I went back to basics, the ones I examined during my recovery. The answer hinged on a theory I developed. The children were toxic sensitive to our environment. Millions of years of human evolution had been radically assaulted by the changes brought on by our modern Western societies. The simplest foods, an apple or a banana, was impregnated with chemicals. Potato chips, the snack food the school offered during its bi-weekly lunch program, was laden with fats and chemicals. As far as the water we drank, there could be times when the filtration system failed, yet we still kept drinking it. The list of chemicals tested for in the water is just as important as the list of chemicals they do not test for. The children spent more time passively watching TV and movies than actively learning, playing, or exercising. The problem was simple: improper lifestyle and misdirection of resources. The crisis of my daughter's problem forced me to keep searching. The Great Ormond Street Hospital study of Great Britain found a link between hyperactivity and the food and water children consumed. Many parents and the school board resisted further examination of this problem even after it was brought to their attention. This crisis made me realize the quality of our children's lives was at stake. This awareness meant independent thinking and perseverance could be rewarded with results, and they were in the case of my child. Hopefully, all the children will one day enjoy the fruits of my labors. I will know that the school board has focused again on its students when I see Eat Your Way to Health Day become a reality. At home, I changed the kitchen into a user-friendly model that was back to basics. I didn't ban junk food, preferring to use the kitchen as an interactive learning environment for my family. Stephanie went off medication that summer. Her mind and body, stabilized by the drugs, were given a chance to heal without them. She is 9 now and does not take any drugs. Her marks and attitude are improving. Her acceptance of her problem is creating one heck of a great kid. Yes, she is still learning disabled. I prefer to think of her as learning enabled, and the seeds of her struggles are growing a happier, more fulfilled child each day. The crisis of Stephanie's learning disability is building a better person. There are many types of crises in today's world. For example, in the late 70s and early 80s, New Zealand was faced with an economic crisis. The entire country plunged into chaos as the government dealt with its problems. But economic accountability was restored to the system through massive realignment of the economy. Today, New Zealand shows signs of a vibrant country. Its population survived and thrives. Many years ago, North American car manufacturers faced a crisis brought on by complacency. Xerox faced a crisis when it lacked direction in the 80s. Innumerable companies went bankrupt during the last recession. Those who accepted and dealt with the crisis they faced are better for it. Today, North America produces top-quality cars. Xerox thrives as it constantly redefines its mandate. You, the consumer, are the winner. Accept crisis into your life. Learn from it. You will prosper and grow. Exercise. Think back to a crisis you resolved. When it was happening, how did you feel? Now that it's over, how do you feel? By examining your past, you will realize that the crisis in your life, when treated as a learning experience, made you a better person. Make a list of positive outcomes that occurred when you learned from a crisis. Save the list for the next time you face a crisis. It will put things into perspective. You will survive and thrive just as you did in the past. Crisis builds character. Affirmations. Repeat these to yourself frequently throughout the day. I accept crisis into my life as a learning experience. I grow from within when faced with crisis. Crisis makes good outcomes possible.